Hi, my name is Mr. D, and today I want to take a look at slopes of perpendicular lines. So we have consider the linear equations 3x plus y minus 8 equals 0 and negative 2x plus ky plus 9 equals 0. We want to find the values of k that will make the two lines perpendicular. So to do this problem, we want to make use of the equation y equals mx plus b. By solving these lines for y, we're able to identify the slope, which is simply the number in front of the x. So remember, the first thing we want to do is solve these equations for y, because it'll help us find the slope. But next we want to make use of the theorem, two lines are perpendicular if and only if their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Simply put, what this allows us to do is when we know the slope of one line, we could simply flip and negate that slope to find the slope of the second line. That's what it means for something to be a negative reciprocal. You're taking the number, you're flipping it, and you're negating it. We're going to see what this means more like as we go through this example. So to start, we're going to write out the first equation. We have 3x plus y minus 8 equals 0. And like I said in the beginning, our goal is to solve this for y. So to get y by itself, we want to start getting rid of the terms that are on the left. So to get rid of 3x, we could subtract 3x. If we do this to the left side, we have to do this to the right. On the left-hand side, notice all we're left with is y minus 8. And on the right-hand side, now we have 0 minus 3x, which is negative 3x. So to get y by itself now, we're just going to add 8 to both sides. Negative 8 plus 8 will cancel, and we have y equals negative 3x plus 8. And what this just accomplished for us, once again, the goal in this problem is to use this concept of slope. So to find the slope of this line, now all we have to do is look at the number in front of x. So the slope of the first line, which we could record with m, is equal to negative 3. So now that we know the slope of the first line, since we want these two lines, we're finding a value of k that's going to make the lines perpendicular. So using this slope of negative 3, we're going to apply it to the theorem, and we're going to find the negative reciprocal of negative 3. Or we're going to take this number and we're going to flip and negate it. And to flip and negate a number, it's better to write it as a fraction. So notice we could write negative 3 as negative 3 over 1. And now we're going to flip it to 1 over 3, and we're going to negate it. But since the number was negative to start with, the result is going to be positive. Because when you negate a number, it could go from positive to negative, or it could go from negative to positive. So since we started negative, our final result is going to be positive. So we flipped and negated it, and we arrived at positive 1/3. Now I'm going to section off this number, because this is a very important value for what we want to accomplish in this problem. We're going to pay attention to this as we go into the second part of this. So we can kind of start this off and write it as a reminder. Our slope must equal 1/3. So the slope of the second line must equal 1/3, because if they're perpendicular, their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So now we could write down the second line, negative 2x plus ky plus 9 equals 0. So to get y by itself, remember that's our goal. We want to solve for y because this will help us identify the slope, which will ultimately allow us to solve for k. Because notice that k is unknown at this point, but we're going to use this idea of slope to help us find the value of k. So we add 2x to both sides. And now we're left with ky plus 9 equals, and we have 0 plus 2x on the right, which equals 2x. So to get y by itself, now we can subtract the 9. And we have ky equals 2x minus 9. So the last thing we need to do to solve for y is we're going to divide everything by k. On the left-hand side, k divided by k cancels, and our final equation, we could write this as 2 over k times x minus 9 over k. And now I think the confusing thing about this problem is that the y-intercept, or the constant term on the end, is 9 over k. We don't need this piece. All we need to look at is the slope. So the slope of our line in terms of k is equal to 2 over k. And the reason why I guess this like throws us off a bit is that we know that our slope must equal 1/3, but right now it's in terms of k. So we're going to combine those two ideas and notice what we arrive at. So we know that the slope of our line in terms of k is 2 over k. But what we said before is that our slope must be equal to 1 over 3. So now we have enough information to solve for k. To solve for k, all we have to do now is cross multiply. And this tells us when we have k times 1, that's equal to k, is equal to 2 times 3, which is 6. So we'll mark this off as our final answer. Our final answer is k is equal to 6. And notice if we plug in k equals 6, our slope of the second line, the slope of our second line is going to equal 2 over 6. And notice 2 over 6 reduces to 1/3. So the slope must equal 1/3. It matches when we plug k back into the problem to see if it checks out. Okay, well this is going to conclude this video on slopes of perpendicular lines. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that this was helpful.